Hey everyone, welcome to the Roto Grinders Morning Grind podcast. I'm your host, Stevie TPFL. It's November, it's the 28th of November, it's 2016, and it's Monday. Right back on the morning grind, and excited to talk some basketball here tonight, which is a pretty interesting slate after coming off a weekend. Took Sunday off in basketball, played some football. We did our morning grind versus listeners challenge, and CJ, we're 3-0 today. We had a really good weekend here building the lineup together.
Let's be clear. We did not agree on anything. Like, we had to work hard to make a lot we agreed on.
It was a tough build week for cash games this week.
Yeah, I wish I had just played our combined builds, because my cash game builds, like, I got like 35% back on both sides. Both were pretty painful, but our combined build would have done much better.
Yeah, our combined build, every week we send out a question when we do the Thursday podcast. If you guys want to get involved with the Team MG versus the listeners challenge here, it's just fun. I think the series is now 3-1.
2-1. 2-1.
2-1. Okay. Series is 2-1. It's just fun. Gives us something to talk about, gives you guys something to get involved with. Get me and CJ building the lineup together, usually on Saturday night, Sunday morning. It was Saturday night this week. We did not agree, like you said. Let's run over this lineup before we get into basketball real quick. We ended up scoring 124.90. We went with Derek Carr at quarterback. I was very firm about that. He was just too cheap on DraftKings this week at 6,100. He was at home against Carolina. We love picking on that secondary, and I just felt like he was just too cheap this week.
Yeah, he was one of our mutual plays. There was no world in which we were not playing David Carr in cash. Or Derek Carr.
Yeah, for sure. And then David Johnson. David Johnson. It was hard not to play him cash anywhere on this slate this weekend, and he definitely did not disappoint. Rashard Jennings, we talked about it on the pod Thursday. He was in a great spot. We instantly regretted even liking him, and it's just I'm not playing Giants running backs anymore. It's just I'm not.
We knew better, but it was kind of a mutual pick. Like, we both didn't want to tell the other one we were an idiot over this pick, so we kind of just rolled with it.
Yeah, he outscored Thomas Rawls.
He also outscored Lamar Miller.
No, Miller outscored him.
Did he really?
Jennings scored 7.9. Miller scored 9.5.
God, I didn't realize Rashard Jennings was that bad.
Yeah, it was awful.
I should have totally faded him. I knew that was a mistake. God.
And then wide receiver is where me and you did not agree. It was interesting. We ended up going Baldwin, Boyd, and Edelman. We were both on Edelman. Edelman definitely.
Edelman busted. Wish we had talked Sunday morning. We could have gotten off that.
Edelman on a PPR side, 16.3 was definitely fine.
He got 16.3.
Yeah, he had a lot on that last series. But
I totally missed that last series. Yeah, wow, that's nice.
Tyler Boyd was not as highly owned as I thought he was going to be this weekend.
None of the Cincinnati guys worked. Like, Jeremy Hill was unowned either. I couldn't believe that either.
Jeremy Hill was in an awful spot, though.
Yeah, but he was 3,900 getting all the work. Like, I was actually surprised by that. I really did. I thought that was a little too low for him.
Doug Baldwin, 7 catches, 34 yards. That game just didn't go like anybody had planned. There's just not much more to say about that.
Yeah, sharp money on the over, too, on Sunday morning. So I felt pretty good about that game shooting out. We talked about it. I thought the total was too low. Sharps came in pretty decisively Sunday morning on the over, so just didn't work out, but I think the spot was good.
Tight end, we went Greg Olsen.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that at all. He busted. Like, I want that back. Like, I should have found the tight end to talk you on to, because that paying that much for him when cash was a mistake.
5,800 for Greg Olsen was not a mistake.
It was a mistake. There was too many good tight ends in 3K range for cash. We definitely should have spent that money on, like, Mike Evans or something. And that was a mistake, but we survived.
And then in the flex, we went double tight ends here this week. We had some value with CJ Fedorowicz at 3,300. He almost outscored Olsen for half the price almost. So, yeah, that was the other tight end that we were discussing. I like Lance Kendricks too, but at the end of the day, we ended up on CJ, and then we went Saints defense. They gave up 21 points and still had a decent fantasy day.
Yeah, I watched the first half, and I was just stunned. I was just, I couldn't have been more vocal about the Saints, and it was just a situation where it was just a complete train wreck. And the second half was what I thought I was getting two halves of. So, oh well. 2,800 got you 7 points. You can't be too upset.
Any other final takeaways from the football slate before we start talking about some basketball?
Injuries just hurt me this week. Nothing you can do about those, but I had a couple brutal ones this week. And that Devontae Parker reverse touchdown, I still don't understand that, and I won't understand that.
As a Dolphins fan, I'm just glad they won. The Devontae Parker tilt was definitely there for a lot of people on Twitter today. And I don't know, man. I feel like Devontae Parker is starting to become more and more of an option.
He got hurt, though. He got hurt on that play. That was the worst part. Like, we didn't even get, like, extra production. He just got hurt on that play and died.
Well, we're going to have to watch a lot of injuries this week. I think that's the one thing that we're going to take away from football this weekend is just there was a lot of stuff. I know Gronk left with a back injury now. There's just a lot of stuff we need to pay attention to this week, and that's what you guys have us for on the Thursday podcast, talking football, and we'll definitely have more information as that becomes available. But
this is definitely one of those weeks on FanDuel. Thursday night is going to be crucial for like making profit because it's a kind of bad game, but if you know your research, you can get yourself in some really good spots.
I definitely agree. All right, let's shift down over to basketball. Before we get into that, if you guys haven't checked out our sponsor, rosters.com, make sure you guys head on over there, check them out, use promo code Grinders. That way you guys get incentives here at RotoGrinders. We'll have some value plays over at Rosters here as we get closer to the end of the podcast. And nice little 7-game basketball slate tonight. We're going to start it out with Sacramento at Washington. It's a 212 total, 2.5. 212.5. You can tell it's been the weekend. Washington favored by 4.5 in this game. No injury news to report on in this game, off the start here. Let's start with the Sacramento side. How many is Boogie going for in this game tonight? This seems like a great spot for him.
Is 60 too low?
I feel like that's the number I was thinking too.
All the Boogie.
Boogie. Yeah, this is an excellent spot for him.
All right. Shot attempts, his last 7 games. 22, 28, 22, 29, 16, 22, 25, 20, 21. You go ahead and fade that for 10K. Let me know how that works out.
Yeah, Washington, middle of the road defense against centers, middle of the road against points against centers this year. But the thing is, like, Gortat does not match up well with Boogie Cousins.
I completely agree.
Markieff Morris doesn't match up with Cousins either. Like, Cousins is just going to eat. We can move on from that. What's your thoughts here on Rudy Gay? Any interest there?
I thought a Porter defense is kind of tough to go there.
We like shooting guards against Washington, but we don't really have a clear shooting guard option, for the Sacramento Kings this year. Any interest in Darren Collison maybe at the point?
A little bit. I played him on Sunday on my one team, and he did okay. Interesting matchup here against John Wall. I don't mind it. This price is a little too cheap here on DraftKings, I think, at $5,500. I definitely have interest there. And he's shooting guard eligible, which is super amazing.
Yeah, the thing with Collison that's bothering me, we're seeing the minutes that we want to see, but we're just not seeing the shot attempts. Only double-digit shot attempts in 3 of the last 5 games, and the 12 has been the max in the last 6. So I want to see more shot attempts from Collison.
I'm willing to take a shot on him against the Wizards at $5,500 and shooting guard eligible on DraftKings. That's just the shooting guard eligibility is just super key on a slate where shooting guard isn't exactly its most loaded of all time.
Flipping over to the Washington side, so the biggest issue and the most concerning thing with Washington this year is they've said they're going to limit and watch Wall's and Beal's minutes. We've seen instances where they've done it. We've seen instances where they report that they're going to do it and they play 38, 39 minutes. Is it coaches talk or what are we doing here? I feel like we're just playing these guys if we want to play them.
They've been limiting them on the back-to-back. No back-to-back in this situation. I'm perfectly fine rolling them up.
All right. Do you have any interest in these guys here?
Yeah, game stacks I think would be the most interesting spot for them. I'm not paying $6,900 for Beal outside of a game stack. John Wall, $8,700 I think is in play outside of game stacks. The guy I'm really most interested to see is Otto Porter. His price is starting to fall a little bit. He's down to 6,100. He's been playing massive minutes and gets Rudy Gay defense. That intrigues me a little bit.
Yeah, honestly.
Markieff Morris also at 5,100 is probably the better play, but that guy has just broken my heart. I don't know how many freaking times this year.
Don't go breaking my heart.
He's been killing me, man. But it's just like Sacramento can't guard stretch fours. We've been talking about this with Ryan Anderson. I view Markieff in the same situation. I'm going to roll that one back.
All right, let's move on. Boston at Miami. We don't have a line in this game, and it has a lot to do with the Dragon. Goran Dragic is questionable here. Dion Waiters is questionable. We were chatting before pre-pod, and you had mentioned that Waiters hasn't missed any time because of this injury, and Winslow has already been ruled out, so that kind of helps us there. We'll start with the Boston side here. They get a down pace in the gameplay here as far as pace goes. What are we doing with the Celtics in this game?
Al Horford or pass?
Yeah, I don't mind Horford. Isaiah Thomas has been playing really good. If Dragic is out, I have interest in Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, I can get on board with that if Dragic's out, sure.
But outside of that, like Bradley's been consistent this season. I don't mind him for cash games, but I feel like on a 7-game slate, I'm going to find somebody else.
Yeah, the price is getting back to the point where you could play him. I'm definitely going to wait one more game. Same with Jay Crowder. Minutes restriction still 5,200. When he hops under 5K on DraftKings is when I'm going to hop all in.
All right. Man, Miami's tough to break down here because we just don't know the injury news. So let's do the best we can. Pace up game for Miami here. All right, let's say we get the news that Dragic is out. What are we doing?
Let's just talk about if Dragic's in, you play Dragic, right? That's not really tough. He's 6K against that point guard that can't cover him. And I'd be really heavy all in on Dragic. Like if he's in, I'm playing him heavy. If he's out, situation where I'd probably go back to Dion Waiters. If he's in, he's questionable, but he's really not questionable. He's been like this for a week and he's played every game. He's played 35 plus minutes. I feel confident in him at this point. I'd roll him out even with Avery Bradley defense. Tyler Johnson's interesting. If you're worried about the Avery Bradley defense, you could roll out some Tyler Johnson. Don't mind Josh Richardson or Rodney McGruder. But again, we're starting to get near the point where the value's off on these guys. So I wouldn't go all in on them. I'd pick maybe one or two that you like.
So this is the report that came out with Dragic. They said that he's very optimistic about suiting up. But they said that he's received treatment this week to deal with the elbow injury, but is still having issues with dribbling, shooting, and passing.
I like that one. That's a new one.
So I might take the wait and see approach here. I'm probably going to give my exposure with Tyler Johnson.
If he's in though, are you really going to fade him against Isaiah Thomas at 6K in a pace up game?
It would all depend on what the reports say before the game.
No update says Dragic will start. We'll see how it goes.
I'll probably play him.
Yeah, I would.
At 6K?
It's the 6K price tag that does it.
Really
I don't know what he is on FanDuel, but it's the 6K price tag on DK that just like I'm willing to take all that risk because the upside's 42 or 45 DK points, and at 6K, that puts you in GPP consideration.
My man James Johnson, always a guy that I like at value on small forward where you have
that guy has been making me money all year, man. All year.
All year. Nobody plays. He's just super consistent.
4% every year, every day on FanDuel. He's a punt small forward option. Does not cost me a tournament yet. All he does is just sit there and do his thing.
Sitting there, do his thing is definitely not a bad thing. Let's move on. Oklahoma City at New York. We have a 213.5 total here. New York favored by 1. I've seen different lines for this game, so pay attention to that line as we go. No injury news. Russell Westbrook is good at basketball.
Yeah, I got the line as a pick. I don't know what you got it as. 214 total. Boy, that DraftKings price, though.
What's he up to now?
12.5? Man, I know it's Derrick Rose defense, but boy, oh boy.
It's still tough to fade him in cash, but
wouldn't you rather just play Derrick Rose in tournaments for literally less than half the cost?
In tournaments, sure.
His shot attempts, I know we've been talking about it, 20, 13, 15, 14, 18, 15. Like, it's really a three-handed triangle in New York. We talked about it kind of with Cleveland. The Knicks are quietly turning into a similar version where three guys are going to get all the shots. If you want to game stack this with all three guys, I think you could.
Rose has been a little sneaky lately too. Like he's starting to rack up the peripherals too. He's getting some rebounds. He's getting assists. Derrick Rose a little healthier this year. It looks like new scenery in New York. Yes, I'm definitely knocking on wood with you, my friend. I'm with you. I think that you could play any of these three guys, and this is a game we want to attack some of these New York players against Oklahoma City.
Completely agree.
You know who I love here?
Don't
You know
say
who I
it.
love here.
Don't. Oh, actually, you could say that guy. I like that guy.
You know I love Victor Oladipo here.
Yeah,
New York,
I'm in.
New York has been awful against shooting guards this year. Just awful.
Every single game. Literally every single game. All I do is if New York's on the slate, okay, who's the shooting guard? Insert. Done. I don't care if it like Aaron Aflalo was walking in the door. I'd still play Aaron Aflalo. I'm in. Just every shooting guard against the Knicks.
Oladipo. Oh, buddy.
And he's actually been shooting the ball decent. Like, he could break our hearts in this spot, no doubt, but 6,600. The upside is 55.
That's it. It's going to be Westbrook and Oladipo for me.
Agreed.
All right. Let's move on.
Actually, I could talk myself into a Mr. Andre Roberson. I've been kind of toying around with him maybe a little too much this year. But you tell me you're going to play 35 minutes in this offense, I'm going to consider it. If no value opens up.
Yeah, I think that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, only 5 games under 30 minutes this season.
Yeah, it's just if no value happens to open up. There's a shorter slate, so it's totally possible. That's kind of a play I would play if the value doesn't open up.
So yeah, what we're saying here is 13 out of 18 games this season, this guy's played at least 30 minutes. That's why we're looking at him.
Exactly.
Moving out. Philadelphia at Toronto. 213.5 total in this game. Toronto favored by 14.5. Jared Bayless, the questionable mark here. I haven't seen anything on Embiid. I'm guessing he's going to play.
He might play limited minutes, 24 on the back-to-back. He's played a couple back-to-backs this year, I think, right?
No, I don't think he has played a back-to-back this year.
Then he might be out because he played today against Cleveland, didn't he?
Yeah, I would almost think that he's going to sit out. Oh, there it is right there with Embiid scheduled to sit out. I just missed that when I was doing my research. Embiid out.
Jonas Valanciunas, the guy I hate the most. I mean, he's in play. He's going to crush Okafor.
He burned me so bad the other night.
Yeah, but the spot is so good, and I hate playing Jonas. If I want to play Jonas, you should probably run to the hills, but I want to play Jonas here. The price is down. The matchup is so good.
I don't know.
I'm right. You just don't want to go back there after you got burned.
Sure, and I'm probably biased, so I definitely want to say that, but he's
It's
tough.
Philly. All right, hold on. Time to pull up stat meters because I feel like I've done this matchup before. I feel like I've played Jonas against Philadelphia before, and it's worked out for me. Jonas, Val. Spelling's going to be really tough, but.
While you do that, DeRozan, good matchup here against Philadelphia. I'm not playing him.
I can't imagine playing him, but that's just me.
I'm not paying $9,300 for him on this slate. Lowry's in a fine position. He's a fine cash game play. These guys are just limited upside-wise in this game. They're going to blow out Philadelphia with no Embiid.
Yeah, it's kind of a spot where you game stack or kind of fade it from the Toronto side outside of Jonas because Jonas could just get a double-double in 3 quarters. But Jonas last year in 3 games against Toronto, 31, 36, 34 DK points. I would take that for 3,700 or 5,700.
So looking at the other side here, looking at the Philadelphia side, with Embiid off the court this year, Okafor sees the biggest bump. He has a 30 or 27% usage rate when Embiid's off the court, not 0.92 fantasy points per minute when he's off the floor. I don't mind Okafor in this game. I really don't.
You can't do it, Stevie. You can't do it. There's no ceiling. What's the highest number of DK points he scored in his last 10?
Probably 28.
27.5. It's just like there's no upside at 5K. You just can't do it. If you're going to play a guy in this game, it's going to be Ersan Ilyasova or Dario Saric. I would lean towards Ersan Ilyasova. He's shown some upside. He's 4,600, a little more than I'd like, but stretch fours against Toronto. We talked about it with Kevin Love, and he went off. Similar type of player here with Ersan.
Yeah, I can get behind that. Honestly, I'm probably not going to touch any of the Philadelphia players in this game.
Yeah, that's probably the more. If DeMarre Carroll was to sit, I'd play Covington, but I wouldn't play him if DeMarre Carroll's on the floor. I actually don't even mind DeMarre Carroll at 4.2, to be honest.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
He's had a 40-point game this year.
I know he has. It was just the other day.
Yeah, didn't have enough.
Charlotte at Memphis, 197.5 total in this game. Memphis favored by 2.5. We do have some injury news here. Marvin Williams supposed to be evaluated in a week, so he's out for this game. Bellinelli is questionable. Zebo is questionable. Ennis is questionable. Parsons is questionable. I haven't heard anything on Ennis and Parsons, so I'm saying questionable. It's probably closer to out with those guys, but you definitely want to pay attention to that news. And then Nicholas Batum is probable for Monday's game against Memphis with his eye injury. We'll start here on the Charlotte side. We know that Marvin Williams is going to go out. Any interest in Frank Kaminsky here?
Price is too high. I'm not paying $5,200 for Frank Kaminsky.
I don't mind him on FanDuel at $4,700.
That's a little more realistic. But for me, I think the play in this game is you play Batum and fade Jeremy Lamb. Like, I know he burned the whole world on Saturday if you didn't listen to Big T. But, like, 17 rebounds, how sustainable is that? Like, he put up 17 rebounds. Come on.
But all I'm saying, did you see who he was playing against?
Carmelo?
Oh, Jeremy Lamb at the 2 against New York.
Oh, he played the 2.
We missed an obvious spot. I missed it too. Yeah.
I guess that was Saturday, so we didn't miss it. I missed it when I didn't play him 100% on Saturday.
MKG played the 3. Lamb played the 2 against New York. And it just goes back to our point against shooting guards against New York this season.
Yeah, I think Lamb, though, is going to slide to the 3 in this spot with Batum returning, right?
No, MKG would get the start at the 3, I would think.
So they're going to shift Lamb to the bench? I guess that's possible.
Yeah, if Lamb
takes over the Bellinelli role, I still think people will play him, right?
I was going to say Lamb actually is interesting here. Like, if he doesn't get this is where, like, having Roto-Grinders incentives and premium is, like, huge because you can, like, kind of get an idea of what the ownership percentage is with the projected ownership tool. And if he's not getting ownership here and he's moving back to the bench and, like, people are just jumping off of him, he should see a lot of usage off the bench here with this second unit.
Yeah, Bellinelli was crushing off the bench for a week and a half. So, look, if he's going into that role and he's unknown, I definitely want to be in. Even in a pace-down game, I think the shot attempts will still be there.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I actually have more interest in Lamb if it comes off the bench and Bellinelli's out.
Yeah, exactly.
Any interest in Kimba here? We just not paying this price for him in this matchup.
It's a day and then why? Of course, I'm going to consider him. Not going to play him, but he certainly ain't going to make the list.
You know he's under 8K now on FanDuel?
Yeah. Oh, man, that's interesting over there. What's he at, 78?
78.
Interesting. Probably won't make the cut, but he'll make it farther than he would have under normal circumstances at that price.
Looking at the other side, the Memphis side here. So we talked about this guy last week. I've played him a couple times since then. Andrew Harrison is starting to get minutes with Mike Conley on the floor. He just hasn't had a great matchup yet. Like, it's so annoying. Like, he's played Miami twice, and Philly was the first time it really happened in that overtime game. Like, I'm just paying attention to Andrew Harrison. He's not going to be a point-per-minute guy, but, like, if we're getting 30 minutes out of a guy that's under 4K on FanDuel, I'm interested. I'm
waiting until I hear the news that I get Wade Baldwin. Oh, he actually didn't. He got a DNP on Saturday. Oh, I missed that. So he went right back to no minutes. Yeah, I do have interest in Andrew Harrison. Then I assume Wade Baldwin will get demoted back to Iowa in the NBA Development League. And if that's the case, I like Harrison. I played him on Friday, and I got the news that Conley was coming off the bench, and I was super thrilled. He went for 7x or 8x on 0 for 8 shooting. The upside's there. If you can kind of find a spot where Conley might not play, you can kind of play him for the 7x, plus if Conley sits, you win tournaments upside. I don't know if this is the spot, but I'm definitely anytime I think Conley might sit or get limited minutes, I'm going to roll Harrison out for a while.
Yeah, for sure. Tony Allen finally starting to see his normal minutes. He's really eating into Vince Carter. I think Vincenity's fantasy role that we were using a little bit there is just gone now. Under 20 minutes in the last 2 games. Tony Allen's minutes increasing. Any interest here in Mike Conley?
I just can't trust he's going to play. Like, if you told me he would play, I might have interest, but it's just so hard to trust a guy that you just don't know what his minutes are going to be.
Yeah, I can see that. And then I don't mind Marc Gasol here. Like, I feel like he's a really solid fuller play. His ceiling's always limited, but he's definitely a guy that I would consider for cash games on this slate.
What's your take on Cody Zeller? Are you going to play him in this spot?
No.
Yeah, I think the upside at 4,800 is a lot different than at 4K.
Well, Memphis giving up the least amount of fantasy points to opposing centers this year, too. So it's just a really tough matchup. Marc Gasol is still really good on the defensive side.
Yeah, no, just thought I'd bring it up because I know a lot of people played him on Saturday, so I might go back to the well, but probably not the spot you want to.
Yeah, not the spot I'm going to go to. Utah at Minnesota. We have a 195.5 total in this game. Utah favored by 2. Derek Favors, as far as I know, is still out. Haven't seen anything saying that he's going to play in this game, so I'm just assuming that he is out. Not that it makes a big difference, but interesting game here. We'll start with the Utah side of things. If we see a lot of Wiggins on Hayward, is this a game Hill and Hood could have a big game?
I love Hill. Love him. He's been crushing all season, and he just gets hurt like right before his price goes above 7K, and then he comes back and his price falls back into the mid 6s. Like, he's shooting guard eligible on DraftKings. What reason do I have not to play him?
I'm interested for sure. I'm definitely looking at this spot for him. And like you said, we're getting a good discount on him, and he really hasn't disappointed this year. He's been really consistent.
Yeah, like maybe he hasn't gotten the full 5 or 6X every time, but he's been really good. I'm perfectly happy in this spot to play him. Don't mind Rodney Hood either at 56, but not my favorite play. I wouldn't mind going there, though, if I had to.
One thing about George Hill, too, like he came back from injury and played 29 and 28 minutes. This is a spot where it's been a couple days now. It's been like a week almost since he's returned since injury. It's been 5 days. This could be a spot where George Hill gets those 30-plus minutes again.
Yeah, he definitely could. I think it's a good spot for him to possibly get back above 30 minutes. Even at 28, though, I don't mind him. Rudy Gobert, 64, will have to be on the floor for big minutes. Could get in foul trouble, but it's a good tournament option.
Yeah, definitely a good tournament option. And then on the other side, tough matchup for Cat. If I'm playing a big guy here, I like the Gorgeous Dong here. I feel like this is a good matchup for Gorgie Deng.
Yeah, his price under 6K on DraftKings, that's where I get interested.
Yeah, I like him at 6,100 on FanDuel, too. Like, as long as he doesn't get in foul trouble, he plays a bunch of minutes. His issue is always foul trouble, but who's really going to get him in trouble here on the Utah side? Boris Diaw is not going to get him in trouble.
I almost said that, but I was just like, it's a little late at night to make that kind of joke.
Yeah, that joke was about 5 beers ago. So, man, so like I want exposure here, but I just don't know if I'm going to go crazy with the Minnesota side.
Yeah, I think it's a spot to maybe pick a guy if you have a guy you like, but other than that, you could kind of ignore the game.
And it just seems like one of these guys, because like Minnesota has a tight rotation. They play their guys a bunch of minutes. They're one of my favorite teams to target in DFS because of that. The 5 starters, all of them average, I think, over 28 minutes per game. It's just I just don't know where to attack this spot.
Yeah, it's tough to know which guy instead of just like, a guy will go off, but picking the guy is the tough part.
Yeah, if I'm playing single entries, this is probably Deng for me. If I'm playing multiple tournaments, I'll mix and match these guys in this spot. We'll move on to the last game of the night, Atlanta at Golden State. We have to pay attention to see if Draymond Green and Ian Clark play in this game. Golden State favored by 14.5. Don't have a line yet, but we would have to almost assume this is going to be the highest total on the slate. It's the late game. No other games after 10 o'clock or 8 o'clock for that example, like Utah, Minnesota at 8 o'clock, and then we wait all the way until 10:30 for this Golden State game. We'll start with the Atlanta side of things. I'm guessing you're going to have interest in this game.
Dennis Schroeder. That price is insane.
What's he priced at?
55 on DraftKings.
Got interest there for sure. He's 5,300 on FanDuel.
Oh, talk about the hate has gone too far spot. In for sure. Don't mind Millsap. Don't mind Howard, but Schroeder.
I feel like this is a game where Atlanta's going to show up.
Yeah, it's just like Bazemore, Cephalosha, don't know where the minutes are going to go. Kind of tough there. You're kind of limited to just those three guys.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. It's probably going to come more with Paul Millsap and Dwight Howard for me. I like Millsap a lot because he really doesn't get game flowed out of this game. Like, if they go small, then he can stay on the floor.
Yeah, and if Draymond's out, he's just going to absolutely destroy.
Yeah, he is definitely going to eat. And then Atlanta, I think, pull like all their starters with like 4 minutes ago. They got smashed by the Lakers on the West Coast on Sunday night. So this is a good bounce back spot for them to hopefully get some fantasy goodness out of. Golden State side, if we have news that Draymond sits, Curry and Durant, even if Green plays, I have a ton of interest in Curry. We love point guards against Atlanta.
Yep, not stopping now.
Yeah, there's no reason to stop, my friend. There's no reason to stop. Yeah, if we get news that Green's out, you almost have to play Curry and Durant, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Durant is an interesting spot because he's got a little bit of a tough defensive matchup, but I don't know if I could pay that price on DraftKings. What's he on FanDuel?
On FanDuel, he's 10K.
That feels a little too high for me.
In cash games, I'm paying for him. You're going to get your 5X out of him.
I'm not so sure.
Let's see. 56, 53, 45, 43, 53, 51.
Yeah, also faced some really good teams. Minnesota, Lakers, Indianapolis, Milwaukee. Talk about pace-up games. Let's see him against some slower teams.
Yeah, we'll see what happens here. It's just I love favoring the pace of the home team, and I think that's always where I lean. And I feel like Atlanta's going to get a nice little pace bump here. That's why we like Schroeder.
Yeah, but Durant's price is kind of at the ceiling. I'm going to pass.
All right. Any other final thoughts here in this game?
No, not really. That covers it.
All right. Let's talk some value plays over on rosters.com. I have a feeling our first value play or one of our value plays is definitely going to match on this slate just from talking about it.
George Hill, 9,400.
You have yours ready?
George Hill, 9,400.
All right, there's one.
Is that the guy you had?
Yeah, after we got to talking about him, I was like, oh, I have him written down already, and I know he's going to be on him as well.
Yeah, absolutely. No doubt about that. If Dragic's out, I do like Tyler Johnson at 7,900. I think that's a really fair price for him. And then also in that kind of a similar injury type situation, if we get news, where'd he go? I can't find him. Weird. Okay. There he is. Josh Richardson, 7,600 on the Dragic news as well. I'd have interest there.
Yeah, I had Hill as well at 9,400. I have Derrick Rose at 8,900. I really do like Rose in the spot against Oklahoma City. He's under 9K, way under what we like here. And then I have JaMychal Green at 7,200. If Zebo's out again for this game, Green's been playing good minutes with Zebo out. I like that. If he plays, you can look at guys in this price range around like Jeremy Lamb. If he goes to the bench, Ilyasovas in this price range. So there's pivots. If Zebo comes back here, you can pivot to one of these other guys. So, but like we said at the beginning of the pod, if you guys haven't checked out rosters.com, make sure you head over there, check them out, use promo code Grinders. There's plenty of basketball contests. They have football contests every week. Make sure you guys are checking them out. It's going to do it here for the Monday edition of the Morning Grind. It's
we need a game, Stevie. We got to come up with a basketball game.
Got to come up with a basketball game.
Yeah, we need a game. Like for football, we had a game. For baseball, we had a game. We need to have a game like 42 plus DK points or something. We got to come up with a game.
Well, we could go. I feel like one of the good games is like We'll talk about it off air. Listeners, if you guys have any suggestions for a basketball game, you guys like the home run derby, you guys like the 3-1-1 for football. Hashtag RGMG, and that's how I search for stuff when we talk about these games and stuff. So make sure you guys use the hashtag RGMG. And if you have any ideas for a basketball game, we're open to it. We can even get some listeners leagues going here as the basketball season starts to roll. So we're open to it. If you guys have any ideas, hashtag RGMG. I'm down. We need a game.
We need a game. Long season ahead of us. We can't have no games.
Yeah, you gotta have some game. And I know the other guys that join us on Tuesdays and Wednesdays when you're not joining me here, like they're down. So we gotta get a game. I agree. We gotta get a game. I want to make a fade, like a fade hot take fade call part of the game.
Oh, I mean that's right up my alley. You sure you really want to do that?
I know we do it with the survey in the premium every day, but like this would be like the first look of, how well can we project a fade like early in the day?
Yeah, I'm on board with that.
All right, well, that's going to do it here for the Monday edition of the Roto Grinders Morning Grind podcast. You can tell it's Monday. Got to shake the cobwebs back off.
Yeah, is that what they call them these days? Cobwebs?
Stumbling through my words because it's 1:15 in the morning and I'm exhausted and I still have to write a basketball article. But after doing the podcast, I feel really good about the plays that I had selected before we started. So I'm feeling like I'm good here to go.
Let's do it.
All right, my friend. Well, I thank you and appreciate you joining us. If you guys haven't checked out the daily marketplace package for the Siege Tournament Tactics, make sure you guys check that out. All kinds of tournament stuff over there, tournament projections, rankings, chat, live shows, all kinds of stuff. Siege does a great job. His package absolutely murdered on Sunday. If you guys use his package on Sunday, you definitely were happy about that. But we'll be back tomorrow with the Morning Grind podcast. Make sure you guys check that out. Check us out on iTunes, Roto Grinders Daily Fantasy Fix podcast. Make sure you guys are reviewing, liking, and checking us out. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Good luck in your contest.